Okay, we are officially live. I'm going to come back. Good afternoon, everybody. I am honored, excited to have on Sheriff Lemma with Seminole County and Sheriff Gibson with Osceola County on the show today. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you so much for taking time out to give us a community update. How are you today?
Good. Thank you for having us, Ted. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Ted. We're doing well.
Good. All right. So I want to take a deep dive into it. I think people are trying to follow social media, doing the best that they can, trying to figure stuff out. But if you want to get news from your own county, where else to better get it than from your sheriff? So I'm going to start with you, Sheriff Lemma. If you can kind of give us an update on what's going on in Seminole County.
Yeah, we're encouraging our citizens to take this very seriously. The news conferences, and I don't care if you watch a news conference in Seminole, Orange, Volusia, or the national one for that matter, you're seeing a lot of people saying the same thing. Abide by the CDC recommendations for social distancing. Make sure that we're really staying at home as much as we possibly can. I know that is incredibly difficult sometimes with these essential needs and services, whether it's limitations on the meat products you buy at the local supermarket or the paper products that you're seeing. But we've had just a little over 200 positive cases being reported in Seminole, and the way that those numbers are being tracked, it's a little bit misleading because it does not account for the people who have had the virus and then have successfully recovered. We've got about 85 of those individuals here in the county. But we've been a little bit more restrictive here with our social distancing ordinance that we put in place. And here as a county, we limited the capacity of any business by no more than 30%. And we also made it mandatory for a 6-foot rule to occur between any other individual that may be out there. And because we recognize the importance of that, and at the same time, arrest just did not seem like the most appropriate way to handle that. The last thing you want to do, and I know Russ would agree with this as well, is introduce somebody who is vulnerable or at risk into our correctional facility. So we implemented a $500 civil fine for people who violate that. But up until this point, we haven't had to issue any violations. We've had probably 300 direct contacts with businesses to make sure that they're following best practices. We've had our deputies on the front line out there making contact. And I could not be prouder of the men and women of our agency who really have stepped up in a non-traditional type of way. We've handled the majority of our calls telephonically. We've got 1,400 employees here at the Sheriff's Office, so we have quite literally hundreds of people who are working exclusively remotely. And then on calls where we do have to meet with people, we ask our citizens to come outside, and they've been really, really cooperative when it comes to that. So we're doing extremely well here, and I'm just very grateful for our citizens kind of following through with the recommendations that we've provided to them.
I love that. How about you, Sheriff Gibson? What's going on in Osceola County?
Well, it's very much similar to Seminole County as well as Orange County. We have 272 cases that are positive for COVID-19 or coronavirus this morning. And in Osceola County, we've had 4 deaths reported. And we're very fortunate and very optimistic that number hasn't changed for right at a week's time now. So my hat goes off to the medical professionals in our hospitals who are just doing a phenomenal job in keeping our sick and helping them heal. Like Sheriff Lemma, we are scaled back our employees at the Sheriff's Office, and some of them are able to work from home. And those that aren't able to work from home, obviously this isn't a fault of theirs. We are taking care of those folks. We're going to make sure that they receive a paycheck, and our agency needs to be strong. Like any other agency in all 67 counties of the state, if any of my brothers or sisters in law enforcement need something in any county, and Dennis would do the same thing, we're going to be there for them. And we don't take on this alone. And we are working together to unite our county, unite our communities, and making sure that they know they're not alone and that this is an unprecedented event. None of us have gone through this before. And so we don't know what's waiting for us around the next corner sometimes. So we're preparing for the worst. We are prepared what we believe for the worst. And we are praying for the best. And we see the best in people right now. And I've seen it in Osceola County, and I haven't really been outside of Osceola County in quite a while, but I know that it's like this in every other county. People are adhering to the governor's safer at home order that he put in place. I came home last night from Point Siena, and there wasn't a car in front of me on 192 heading eastbound, and there was not a car coming at me heading westbound, something that you don't see anymore. And so I am so thankful and grateful to our community, to our citizens and residents who are adhering to this order, taking it seriously, using those face masks when you can inside the stores and or out in public per se is a great thing as well. There's people out there that are carrying this virus and they don't even know they have it. And that's really the purpose for the face masks. And, you know, it can be confusing. At first, we were being told not to wear the face mask unless you have the virus. And then that changed. Like this is changing because it's not something that we've ever encountered before, at least in my lifetime. So it's great to have partnerships with other law enforcement agencies. It's great to have partnerships with our local governmental officials and also partnerships with the people that, you know, we represent. So we're happy to be in this, and we're going to come through this together.
I agree. I mean, I think that people do, they look to you all, they look to our leaders. They get a lot of information, just like you mentioned earlier, Sheriff Gibson, about the face masks. People didn't, in the beginning, they said, don't wear them unless, and now it's, you need to wear them.
Yes.
And so I think if people follow, one of the reasons why I love to do the show, and you guys are getting shown a ton of love, by the way, you can't see it, but you'll see it later on. People are just so thankful for what you are doing out in the community. I think people do feel safe out there, as safe as they can, even though there's this unknown that we've never gone through before. And I think that people want to know, which I'm going to ask you next, how are the front lines doing? Had a lot of messages prior to the show. Can you ask them how the deputies are doing? How are the people who are out there handling it? How are they getting through? How are they handling it with their families? So I'll start with you, Sheriff Gibson.
Well, I can tell you that, you know, I know that our troops out there, men and women that are wearing a uniform and taking these calls and going to these homes, and I've heard it on the radio since this began. We're hearing deputies even asking our communication officers, who, by the way, are just fantastic as well. They're really our true frontline people. They're gathering information for the calls that they're receiving. They're asking more questions pertaining to people's health, flu-like symptoms, and so on and so forth. And like Dennis had mentioned earlier, it's not uncommon for our dispatchers or communication officers to let the people know, if you can, meet the deputy out in the yard, meet the deputy out in the driveway for their safety, because their home is their safety. Their home is their sanctuary. If they don't have the coronavirus, there's no need for us to come in and breach that safety or sanctuary that they have in the home. So, but the deputies, they have their concerns. You know, they're on the front lines and they're concerned about this coronavirus. We have had one deputy test positive for the coronavirus. The deputy at this point, that was done today, and did not display, still doesn't display any signs or symptoms, just a person who is carrying this virus. The person is staying at their home. They're taking the necessary precautions and steps to make sure that they're okay and that they're not going to infect anyone else. So, but that is a concern of our deputies, our forensics personnel that have to go out to the different scenes when they're called out, because we still are responding to calls. We had a carjacking suspect yesterday that was fleeing from Brevard County. It happened in Sheriff Ivey's jurisdiction. He came up West 192 heading westbound, and we were able to successfully spike those tires. He tried to carjack another vehicle right in front of Harmony, where I live. I happened to be coming out of Harmony at the time and was able to lend a helping hand to the deputies that were out there. And but it's it's something that they pull together on, like they do in so many other different ways. Both men and women will rely on one another. They become so close. They have such a tight bond with one another. They tell their innermost secrets to one another, and it's even, they talk in 10 codes. So when deputies are together, you'll see that they're saying 10 codes. And of course, unless you're in that group, you don't understand that. So it's just something that it's a brotherhood, a sisterhood. But we look to one another, and they also understand what it means to be a first responder.
Right.
We're out there 24/7, putting our lives on the line. Most of the time, we see the person with the gun. We know who the bad guy is for the majority of the time. But this is a silent killer, an invisible killer, an invisible foe that we have to be prepared for on a different level. So I have nothing but the utmost respect for all of law enforcement, all first responders, firemen, and the same as paramedics. God bless them out there doing it 24/7, just like our truck drivers, our medical professionals. I mean, you can't leave anyone out of the equation. People that they are essential.
All right. How about Seminole County, Sheriff Lemma? We have a lot of people asking. People are popping on. I can't wait for you guys to see the love that people are sharing, which is another reason why I love to do the live show. Tell us about the front lines in Seminole County.
Well, these, first, I agree with everything that Sheriff Gibson just said. I mean, these are true heroes that are out there, but it's just not during this crisis. I mean, they're out there day in and day out, and their husbands and their wives and their brothers and sisters and kids, and they're balancing so much right now. We've got homeschooling going on where many of them are trying to have to balance the demands with their children. Many of their spouses are getting laid off, and we need to find a way to make sure that they're able to find employment as well. And that's why I said we should try to find a way to market and post any one of our vacancies that we have to those men and women that are really dependent upon two incomes inside their homes. But they're incredibly brave. The deputies are out there, really putting their lives on the line and not compromising the services at all. But it just doesn't end with them. We've got a juvenile detention center here at the sheriff's office. We've got deputies that are assigned to our judicial services. We've got our correctional facility, our communication center. And what we do here in Seminole, we've got such a great chemistry and collaboration with the 8 police departments, the 7 municipalities, and then the airport police department here. We really come together, pull resources. I will tell you, when this thing is said and done, I am confident that it will change the way we work forever. I think that we're realizing that people can be incredibly productive when you trust them, when you allow them to work remotely, when you allow them to make the decisions that are absolutely necessary regarding arrest or not arrest, or to make a traffic stop or not. Just like Russ said, I mean, people are not getting away with crime here, but the determination of whether or not a direct file or a physical arrest is warranted. We have about 45 people out now. A few days ago, we had about 60 of our folks out that are either demonstrating symptoms or they have a family member that's demonstrating symptoms. We have had 1 employee test positive so far, and we're hoping to keep that number as small as possible.
So speaking of testing, we have a lot of questions about that. I'll start with you, Sheriff Lemma. Where in Seminole County can your residents get tested? Where are people going?
Well, in Seminole County, the first step we're asking people is to communicate with their primary care physician. I mean, that's typically the easiest thing. And we're encouraging them not just to walk in, to call and to communicate. And this is why we're so dependent upon this tri-county area with, Osceola, Orange, and Seminole counties, because we rely upon some of the same resources. And I think that, Orange County has done such a remarkable job kind of serving as the hub of resources for a lot of us. Our law enforcement officers and citizens were largely directed down to, the Orange County site there at the convention center. Now I hear there's going to be a more localized one opening on the campus of University of Central Florida here to make it more convenient as more tests become available. So first step is always the primary care physician. And then for those that are uninsured or underinsured, we want them to reach out to our information hotline. Our emergency manager, Alan Harris, have been doing just a remarkable job when it comes to making sure that all the resources in place. And then last and certainly not least, they can pick up the phone and call us at the sheriff's office, and we will personally provide them with whatever assistance and resources needed. What's unique about those people who test positive here in Seminole County is county government gets their food for them, gets their medication for them, allows them to really focus exclusively on healing up and getting healthy. We quite literally leave it at the door and call them and have them come out and pick it up. And that's just a wonderful service that I know that other places of the country are not able to afford.
Love it. How about Osceola, Sheriff Gibson?
Largely the same as Seminole County, like Dennis said, the Tri-County area. We started out doing the testing at the Department of Health, and that kind of morphed into when they ran out of some supplies, we had a plan B, and we started sending folks over to the convention center in Orlando for the testing. And now there's regional testing, or localized testing, I should say, right here in Osceola County with your walk-in clinics that you could step into and do that. You should check with your primary care physician, but only if you exhibit those signs. And we're just talking about a fever. That's one of the signs, 99.6 or 99.8. I'm not exactly sure the exact number that they're looking for there. It changes a little bit here and there. But you have a dry cough, which is something to take into consideration, and you're feeling achy inside your joints and your muscles, and a sore throat. So if you have some of those symptoms and you exhibit those symptoms, we really want you to contact the local provider. I know our Department of Health is, I believe they're back up and running as far as testing goes, or they're very close to that. But regardless, we have testing available, again, through our local walk-in clinics, as well as the convention center, and the Department of Health should be back up and running to make sure that testing is available. And I want to say that they started off with the testing up inside the nasal cavity.
Yes.
It went to something different now. So it's the back of the throat is what they're trying to get like a culture or something from. And doesn't really cause any pain. So, and that's something, some people are afraid to get tested because of how they test. And we don't want people to feel that way. If you believe you have that, the life you save could not only be your own, but a family member, a friend, or even a stranger on the street. So step into one of these places if you exhibit these signs, just like a flu, almost like a flu. We want you to get tested. Information is power, and we want to arm you with that information.
Amen. And I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Sheriff Mina, who had planned to be here today, but they had a press conference that was still going live when I was signing on here. And he will be back to give an Orange County update. So thank you, Sheriff Mina, and all of your team, everybody out there who's front lines in my county. I'm in Orange County. We have a lot of questions. It'll be the last question that people really, really want to know what they can do as a citizen to specifically help to give back to the front line, to the officers, to the departments, the agencies. What can they do for you? Like we had people ask, is it still okay to bring pizza? Is it okay to drop food off? And because they've heard different things, it's okay, it's not okay. So Sheriff Gibson, I'll start with you and then I'll end with Sheriff Lemma.
Well, I can tell you that we've had business owners dropping off pizzas, dropping off some supplies for the deputies, drinks, snacks, things that we can give to them that they can take to their cars and take out to their patrol areas. Last night, we were doing the first responder parade of lights in Poinciana. One of the local pizza shops, Lemma's Pizza, donated pizza and wings to the deputies for their dinner before we went out and did this parade. And I can tell you the way that it was served is that we had two people behind a table They were wearing gloves and the protective mask, and one deputy in the car would come up at a time, get some pizza, get some wings and a drink. They'd go back to the car. The next deputy would come up. I mean, we're trying to do our very best to practice what we preach too, as far as social distancing and making sure that we're taking, as much as the precautions as we possibly can. But these people want to do things for their because they love law enforcement. They recognize that we're out there on the front lines, and what we try to give back to them, even with this little bit of a parade, is that there's an assurance from local law enforcement that you are not alone and that we stand with you. It's not just words, but in our actions. And that is one of the things that we wanted to do. These children made signs, holding them up. They're screaming, thank you. The parents are screaming, thank you. They love just knowing that they're not alone. And yes, there's fear because many of these folks don't have food. They don't know where their next paycheck is coming from. 2 weeks ago, we worked with the Council on Aging. We worked with the Feeding Osceola Initiative and also Second Harvest. And we had over 1,000 cars come through this line for groceries. Over 1,000. And I had the media asking me, why do I think it's like that? Because a lot of our residents and our citizens live paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. And one catastrophic event can put a person into a situation where they could be in trouble. And that's why we saw so many people come through that line. They were driving nice cars. They were driving nice trucks, and some weren't so nice. But it was just a variety of people who found themselves in need because of this coronavirus and these businesses closing their doors, hopefully temporarily, they didn't know what was going to happen next. And we want to make sure that we're there to thank them for what they've done for us all these years. And it's an honor to give back. And these men and women, they mail us cards. Their children make us different things to keep us motivated, keep us moving, and let them know that they love us. We could be going through a drive-through at a Dunkin' Donuts or a Starbucks, and the woman at the window lets us know that the person in front of us purchased our order. Deputies are getting that when they were able to go in the restaurants because they haven't, for some time now. People would buy their lunches, they'd buy their dinners, and some even argued who was going to pay for that deputy's dinner. So there's love out there, and thank you all that are watching this today for the love that you show all of us. We love you, and that's why we serve you every single day.
Love it. All right, Sheriff Lemma, I'm going to let you wrap it up for us. Tell us what your Seminole County residents can do to show all of you some love.
Yeah, a lot of what Sheriff Gibson said, but this is an incredibly important time. And just this week alone, we had two deputy sheriffs here in the state of Florida lose their lives to the coronavirus. One was a Broward County deputy, and another was a Palm Beach County deputy, and both under the age of 40 years old. And I think that the greatest compliment is respect us enough to listen. We're making these decisions. The last thing that we ever want to do is to restrict a free-moving, law-abiding public. And it's only during states of emergency where we feel like we can quite literally save lives where we ask people to do that. And when you look at it, the greatest responsibility of any civilized society is to protect and preserve human life. And that's what we're trying to do. Sometimes the greatest contribution that we can give, especially right now, is to do nothing. Quite literally do nothing. Stay at home, be with your family, do as little as you possibly can. More people out there means more potential to spread the virus. We know that many of the people who have it are asymptomatic for a period of days. We know that this disease, this virus, lingers around for up to 4 or 6 hours on various surfaces. So I understand that people want to get out and they want to do this. And what is very interesting in public life is there'll be videos and press conferences. And after those press conferences, we'll get 50% of the people sending us email. We're with you. We support you. We love you. And then another percentage of the people say, we hate you. How can you do this? We're a free society. You're not allowed. You know, it goes with the territory. But in the end of the day, this isn't about government. It isn't about law enforcement. It's about citizens helping fellow citizens. And now is our time to shine. Let's get through this thing. Let's get life back to as normal as it can be. But I will tell you, not to be doom and gloom, but the hard work from law enforcement really comes on the tail end of this. You know, there's an old saying that says, you know, people will beg, borrow, and steal to make ends meet and get things done. With the unemployment rate continuing to climb, depression being a significant part of emergencies like this. Just today alone, by noon, we had 2 suicides here in Seminole County. So there's going to be a lot of work to do on the tail end of this thing. And I think that as a society and as a community, we need to pull together to be prepared for that.
Agreed. And I just want to thank you both. I mean, it's such an honor and a privilege to have you come on the show and share. I can't even keep track of all of the, listen, my people show love. So I want all of them to show you as much love as possible because I am so thankful. I know all of us are thankful and grateful for all that you and all of your front lines, all of the people in your agency, your office, your departments are doing. We do appreciate it. And thank you for taking time out of your even crazier, busier schedules to come on and share a little bit with us. I appreciate you both so much. God bless both of you and all of you and your families and everyone's families. Appreciate you.
God bless you guys. Thank you for having us on, and
thank you
be
so
safe,
much.
Russ.
Thank you,
Ted. Thank you, Dennis. Great to see you guys.
Great to see you.